Well, thank God no one was here to see that. That would have been embarrassing. Every time my computer starts, it goes back to default, and default is not this little microphone right here. So it makes me look stupid, and that's what I am. I'm pretty stupid. So if you'd like to be stupid with me, come on in. Hop in a chat. Tell me what you're thinking. Tell me what you're feeling. My name is Waldo, and I'm here to feel the politics with you. An hour earlier today than normal. That's okay. I have some stuff to do tonight. I have some people to meet and buttons to press. But we have to have time for the politics, right? The politics have not stopped, so I can't stop either, and neither can you. Stop watching. Don't stop watching. Never stop watching. Please, for the love of God, I need the numbers. Hop in the chat, tell me what you're thinking, tell me what you're feeling, or go on over to the Discord and leave links, and I'll bring your links up onto the screen, and then we'll feel them out together. You and me together forever, feeling the politics. Doesn't that sound delightful? Doesn't that sound lovely and fantastic? You and me together, feeling the politics. There are no doggies. I was looking for one. There are no doggies at the moment, but if we get one, I'll grab them and we'll have a little doggy break. Until then, let's look at the news. Let's look at the politics. Let's figure out what is going on. And it's all just such good news. Just kidding. I lied. It's not good news. It's bad. It's bad news. Let's see. Let's start with this one. I liked this one. This one was great. Associated Press barred from Oval Office for not using Gulf of America. So, according to this guy, agency says its reporter wasn't allowed into the event in effort to punish Style Guide on upholding use of Gulf of Mexico. You see here the president with his son Joffrey and some cuck over here on the right. I don't know who this is. And then a couple of Nazis over here. It's very nice of Stephen Miller, the Nazi, to bring his younger doppelganger, I assume. That's his younger doppelganger? Yeah, I think that's his younger clone. So that's nice. The Associated Press said it was barred from sending a reporter to Tuesday's Oval Office executive order signing in an effort to punish the agency for its style guidance on upholding the use of the name Gulf of Mexico, which, not kidding, I will also only be referring to it by its proper name, the Gulf of Mexico. You can't make me change. You can't make me say it. And if you do, that would be blatant and obviously against the First Amendment. You see, I get to say it is the Gulf of Mexico, or I get to say it's the Gulf of America. That's also fine. It's just that you can't make me say Gulf of America unless I want to. And I don't want to. I can call it flibbity flobbity, the big puddle, if I damn well want to. And you can't stop me unless you do so by force. And stopping people from saying things with force, that's on the way. It really is. Because Donald Trump is a fascist and he is surrounded by fascists. They will start punishing people for not saying the right words. The AP's executive editor, Julie Pace, said in a statement, as a global news organization, the Associated Press informs billions of people around the world every day with factual, nonpartisan journalism. Today we were informed by the White House that if AP did not align its editorial standards with Donald Trump's executive order renaming the Gulf of Mexico as the Gulf of America, AP would be barred from accessing the event in the Oval Office. This afternoon, AP's reporter was blocked from attending the executive order signing. The role of a free press is to hold those in power accountable, not to act as their mouthpiece. Any government effort to erode this fundamental freedom deserves condemnation. This does actually deserve condemnation. Telling people what they can't say, kind of a big deal. Telling people that they ought to call it what he wants to call it is stupid. He changed the name because he's a bitch. And he wants to do it to force you into very tiny acquiescence, very tiny little acceptances. He wants you to accept the little things, one little bit at a time, so that when he does the big things, you accept that too. This is baby steps towards authoritarianism. This is baby steps towards fascism. If you accept Gulf of America, then you'll accept buying Greenland. And if you accept buying Greenland, well, then you'll accept the taking of the Panama Canal. And if you accept the taking of the Panama Canal, you'll accept invading Mexico. And if you accept invading Mexico, you'll accept forcing through the power of the state and the military and economic powers to making Canada the 51st state. If you accept the little things, the medium things are easier to accept. If you accept the medium things, the big things are easier to accept. That is what he's doing and why he's doing it. Does he know? I don't know. Donald Trump's head is soup. His brain is not a good brain. What is the difference between Donald Trump's brain and mayonnaise? Mayonnaise tastes better on a sandwich. There is no actual difference, fundamentally speaking, about how brains work between his brain and mayonnaise. There's no difference. Does he know he's doing this? I don't know. Is somebody like one of the Nazis that are with him in this photo here? There's a couple right there. Do they know that they're baby stepping towards fascism? Yes, I think they do. Does he know? I don't know. I think he is an absolute moron, as you can see in this photo where he's just sitting in the cuck chair now, and the real president, shadow no longer, Elon and his son Joffrey, are giving the press conference and telling you what is going to happen with your government. So we'll watch that whole thing here in just a few minutes. But I wanted to get to this point first. They're kicking people out for not agreeing with him and not repeating his stupid words and his stupid ideas, which means you don't have a free press anymore. Your First Amendment is under attack by Trump and Elon. They want to take it from you. They are taking your rights one little bit at a time because they are conservative, they are Republican. The MAGA party is anti-freedom. They are anti-human rights. They want to tell you what to do, when to do it, and how to do it all the time. Take away your freedom so that they can maximize their profits and their comfortable lives. Trans people are icky, according to them, and so they don't want them to be around. They don't want to see them. They don't want to know they exist. They don't want to hear from them. So we legislate to make them go away. Legislate to keep them hidden away from all the places that they will go so that they can't see them or know them or recognize that they exist. They don't want them to be there. They want them to disappear. They want to genocide them. They want them to cease to be. And so they are legislating to make that happen. One tiny little bit at a time. If you accept the kicking them out of bathrooms, then you'll accept kicking them out of women's sports. And then if you accept that, then you'll accept just kicking them out of colleges and firing them for being what they are. So it is horrifying, KVP. Yes, these are the tiny steps. This is why I'm here every day streaming to billions of people to point out the baby steps, the tiny little bits, the little bits. Hey, Souls, thanks for coming. I appreciate it. Yeah, I started early tonight. Thanks for coming, guys. Yeah, I've got a thing to do tonight at 8:00, and it's important. So, but so is the politics. So, yeah, this is where we are. Let's look at the other rights that we're going to lose. Let's look at some more bad news. J.D. Vance claims judges aren't allowed to overrule President Trump on executive orders, suggests POTUS has legitimate power to defy judicial rulings. What? Just what? Just what? J.D. Vance went to law school. He did. I think he went to Yale, right? He knows that this is horseshit, but he knows also that his fans, the MAGA crowd, doesn't know it's horseshit. They will believe anything Donald Trump says. That's the great thing about being MAGA. You don't have to think anymore. Trump does all the thinking for you. It is good to be the king. It's true. So how did this happen? Vice President J.D. Vance took to X Sunday and suggested that President Donald Trump has legitimate power to ignore judges when carrying out executive orders, claiming that courts aren't allowed to overrule. If a judge tried to tell a general how to conduct a military operation, that would be illegal. No, motherfucker. J.D. Vance, no. Judges can overrule military operations and tell you that they are illegal. That's how that works. It's always been how that works. You know that. You lying sack of shit. If a judge tried to command the attorney general in how to use her discretion as a prosecutor, that is also illegal. They don't tell them how to use it. They can say you are doing a thing that is illegal. Judges aren't allowed to control the executive's legitimate power. They're not controlling it. They're telling you when you do it wrong. But again, nuance. Nuance is terrifying to a childish brain. Think about that. The difference between controlling what the executive does and telling him he's crossed the line into illegality is a nuanced stance. But nuance is terrifying to a childish brain. Donald Trump has a childish brain. He does not do nuance. Most of MAGA has child brains. They do not understand nuance. They don't understand the 1,000 shades of gray. The world is simple. The world is black or white, good or bad, red or blue. Nothing in between. Either 100% or 0%. If you're not first, you're last, according to their baby brains. Hi, Trader Todd. Thanks for coming in. I'm a little early tonight, but I've got stuff to do, but that's okay. Thanks for being here. I appreciate it. They have baby brains. Nuance terrifies them. So they think that we just elected a king. You know, that's why Trump gets to do whatever he wants, because he's the king. He won the election, which means he gets to make all the laws, and whatever he says goes. Earlier on Sunday morning, Vance shared a post from Harvard Law School professor Adrian Vermeule, who claimed judicial interference with legitimate acts of state, especially the internal functioning of a co-equal branch, is a violation of the separation of powers. This is Republican judo. They do this often. I'll rant about it here in just a minute. But if what they do is they say the thing and then they flip it on its head and tell you that it's wrong. Judicial interference isn't interference. They're a co-equal branch. It's not co-equal if you tell the president to stop. What? This is nonsense. And he knows it's nonsense. He's just on board for the fascism. He's already on the fascist team. On Sunday evening, Vance shared a post from columnist and trial lawyer Kurt Schlichter, which said, "What if the judicial decision is lawless?" A key component of the conditional constitutional framework is judicial modesty, which is backed up by the fact that the judiciary has nothing to compel obedience except its credibility. What if the judges are lawless? Huh? Did you ever think about that, stupid fucking liberals? What if the judges are lawless? You can't tell me the president is lawless because the judges are lawless. Durr. They have baby brains. If you tell them no, they get mad. That's what's happening. Donald Trump has been told no, you can't do that. That's illegal. We have laws. Laws are a set up of rules, a list of complicated structure of rules. You have gone outside those rules with your executive orders, hence they do not stand. You've told him no, and he strikes back with anger because he has baby brain. He doesn't understand why the rules exist or what they are for. That's not the right button. This is the right button. Let's see. Vance signaling came after a tech billionaire and Doge leader Elon Musk voiced his disapproval of being blocked, along with the Department of Government Efficiency, by a federal judge from accessing sensitive information provided by the Treasury Department. And then he said that stupid crap. Now, this is a good important part too. I don't like the precedent it sets when you defy a judicial ruling, but I'm just wondering, what other options are these judges leaving us? He says, oh my, what option are they leaving us? This is the Republican judo. J.D. Vance knows that the checks and balances exist, but he flips it on its head. If you, from his vantage point, if Trump does not have ultimate authority to rewrite all the laws and the supreme power to change the Constitution, then he has been imbalanced. He has been imposed upon, and that's against the rules. He's just being stopped from doing what the voters wanted him to do. Don't you see? What other option are these judges leaving us? We promised the people of the country we would do fascism, and these judges are stopping us from doing fascism. Stupid judges won't let us institute fascism. JD does not want to ignore the judges' rulings. He says, I don't want to ignore them, but what choice do I have? I have to ignore them to do what we promised the people we would do. And if you stop the president from rewriting the Constitution whenever he wants, aren't you the real fascist? It all makes sense if you don't think about it. And that's the point. MAGA fans do not think. They are told what is and isn't allowed by their God Emperor, who is also somehow a baby. And then people like Vance and the press secretary tell them what to say if they are challenged by someone with a brain. Do the challenges make sense? No. Just do the Republican judo flip and say that anyone arguing with you is doing the thing that you're trying to do. So some common examples. A judge stops Trump's fascism. Judo flip. That's the real fascism. DEI. Judo flip. That's racism. Dems are the regressive party. Judo flip. Dems are the regressive party, dragging us backwards. Even though measles is on the rise, Dems are the ones dragging us backwards. Judo flip. Biden did election fraud, not Trump. Judo flip. The left is the intolerant side and won't accept us being intolerant. The right-wing stance, the MAGA stance specifically, is based on bigotry, and they will use the paradox of tolerance against you. So the paradox of tolerance is here. It is a philosophical concept suggesting that if a society extends tolerance to those who are intolerant, like the bigots in MAGA, it risks enabling the eventual dominance of intolerance. That's what we have right now. The people who are bigots are now in charge and saying that you're a bigot for not letting them be the bigots, thereby undermining the very principle of tolerance. This paradox is articulated by philosopher blah, 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 where he argued that a truly tolerant society must regain the right to deny tolerance to those who promote intolerance. This is why I feel safe and morally superior to tell you that no, fascists are not allowed to run in American politics. Why I would say that no, you're not allowed to have a Nazi party in America. They practice intolerance. And I'm okay with even coding that into law. No, you can't have Nazis in America. It's a free country. Well, aren't you? Sorry. Got that crud in my throat. Judo flip. The Supreme Court rules against Trump and we have ourselves a constitutional crisis. Yeah, exactly. They do that judo flip where they say the Supreme Court is not allowed to rule against Donald Trump. The Supreme Court is, however, totally allowed to rule against Joe Biden. Yeah, they should absolutely do that. We need to lock all those judges down. We need to get all the right-wing judges we can to stop all the things that the Dems do. They need to shut that shit down, okay? Because the right uses the law to hurt their enemies. It's not a complex system of rules regulating actions and imposing penalties for a stable society. No. That's nerd shit. They think the law is whatever Trump says right this instant, even if it contradicts what he said yesterday. Doesn't matter. Trump's feelings are the law, and the courts can't stop him. They can stop the Dem president. That's fine. The court should stand in the way of every Dem president. They probably cheated to get into office anyway, and they're obviously corrupt because they disagree with Trump, and he's the law, remember? So disagreeing with Trump is a crime. this is how they think. This is what they contemplate. This is the world that we live in now. The party of rubber and glue produced a fascism. Yeah, exactly. You can't argue with them because they're always right. And the law is just whatever they want it to be at any given moment. They feel like something is illegal, so it is. If the court says that they're going outside the bounds of the First or Second Amendment, who cares? They're allowed to do that because, according to J.D. Vance, the president is a king. He's unhappy about that. He's like, I'm sorry, I didn't want to go against the judge's orders, but we have to, because how else are we going to get what we want? Why do you want things that are against the law, JD? Why? Why do you want things that are outside the law? I would like for you not to do that. So let's, oh yeah, I wanted to throw this in there. 9 unvaccinated people hospitalized as Texas measles outbreak doubles. This is more of that judo flip. The Dems are dragging us backwards. The Democrats are progressive and dragging us backward. Meanwhile, fucking measles are outbreaking in Texas. That was supposed to go into the middle part. Editor Waldo will put that into the middle of the previous rant rather than at the end. Editor Waldo's a very unhappy guy with Streamer Waldo. It's a complicated life that we have to live together. Hey, look at this. Let's. The American Bar Association says Trump is not following the rule of law. Imagine that. What would the bar have to say about that? I don't know. No American can be proud of a government that carries out change in this way, the group's president wrote in a searing statement. Let's see. It has been 3 weeks since Inauguration Day. Most Americans recognize that newly elected leaders bring change. That is expected. But most Americans also expect that changes will take place in accordance with the rule of law and in an orderly manner that respects the lives of affected individuals and the work they have been asked to perform. This is chaotic. It may appeal to a few, but it is wrong. So, yeah, it doesn't matter. And we can't stop them. Just last week, in rejecting citizenship challenges, the U.S. District Judge John Coffenauer said that the rule of law is, according to this administration, something to navigate around or simply ignore. Nevertheless, in this courtroom and under my watch, the rule of law is a bright beacon in which I intend to follow. The rule of law is a bright beacon for the country. That's lovely. You're going to go to jail. Judge John Coffenauer, I hope you have all your stuff put together. Like, be ready to be black bagged any minute. Zoop, there goes the bar. Yeah, exactly. So this is going to end badly. It's already running. It's already going pretty poorly. So let's see. Trump openly threatens judges who blocked his orders. Donald Trump has set his sights on the judiciary branch. We'll watch this video here in just a minute where the president right here stands above the cuck chair right there. And his son Joffrey runs around picking his boogers and stuff like that. It's a good time. But we'll get to it. We'll listen to what he has to say. So let's just listen to that. How about that? What is this one? Oh, we'll listen to that at the end. So here we go. It's about 30 minutes long. I'll put it at 1.25 speed just so we can get through it pretty quick. But so this is President Elon and his son Joffrey speaking to the royal jester in the cuck chair, I think is who this is. I'm not sure who this guy is. You guys can't hear it because, again, as usual, the audio likes to make fun of me. The audio. Always the audio. No, you're going to be... hang on. There. Okay. Maybe. Let's see if this works.
And he's a great guy, high IQ. He's a high IQ individual.
And he's got this cool chain he's got.
So thank you very much. We had a busy day today.
Why is this kid wearing a big silver chain? Well, all right, it's Joffrey. You can't argue with him, I guess. He has his own style. He's a trendsetter. He's a style kind of guy.
King just left, and we've had a great discussion, terrific discussion concerning Gaza and everything.
Look at him standing over the president like that. Conservatives, are you happy about this? Does that make you feel good to have your president cucked like this?
Else. We had discussions also about Saturday at 12 o'clock. It's going to be a big moment. We'll see what happens. I don't expect much happening with these people, but we'll see what happens. And we're going to be signing a very important deal today. It's Doge, and I'm going to ask Elon to tell you a little bit about it and some of the things that we found, which are shocking. Billions and billions of dollars in waste, fraud, and abuse.
Oh my God, you guys, they did it. They found the billions of dollars of waste, fraud, and abuse. I hope they brought some evidence. I hope they brought some receipts, some perhaps paperwork, some documents to look at, some sort of thing that you could put in front of a court or in front of the people so that we could see it and understand it and know that you're not just talking out your ass. I'm sure that's coming any moment.
And I think it's very important. And that's one of the reasons I got elected. I said, we're going to do that. Nobody had any idea it was that bad, that sick, and that corrupt. And it seems hard to believe that judges want to try and stop us from looking for corruption, especially when we found hundreds of millions of dollars worth, much more than that, in just a short period of time. And we want to weed out the corruption. And it seems
judges want you to provide evidence, you absolute fucking dipshit. Judges, courts, operate on a thing called evidence. I know you've never heard of this, Donnie, but evidence is when you put together facts that prove your case. Evidence is complicated. You have to get written statements. You have to get witnesses on the record. You have to get electronic statements from money being moved around. You have to get bank statements. You have to prove that things went to the wrong place. 10 past 11, you thank God you're here. We're about to talk about evidence in a court of law. Nerd shit. Thank you. It's like, you have a sixth sense, sir, for showing up right when I start to talk about the nerd shit. It's quite a talent you have. I appreciate that about you. He doesn't have any evidence. All of the things, all the waste, fraud, and abuse that he found, he's just saying shit. He's just saying it. There's no evidence is nerd shit. Yeah. There's no paperwork to back this up. There's no evidence.
It's hard to believe that a judge could say, we don't want you to do that.
Again, nuance doesn't work on baby brain. His baby brain can't comprehend nuance. The judge didn't say, we don't want you to find corruption. He said, you don't have any evidence of corruption.
Well, so maybe we have to look at the judges, because that's a very serious.
We'll just kick out the judges. Just fucking kick out the judges instead.
I'll ask Elon Musk to say a few words, and we'll take some questions. Elon, go ahead.
Sure. So at a high level, you say, what is the goal of Doge, and I think a significant part of the presidency is to restore democracy. This may seem like, well, are we in a democracy? Well, if you don't have a feedback loop, okay, we'd have to, if you
Isn't Joffrey adorable? He's adorable. A few more years and we'll have to worry. But right now, he's still cute.
Sorry. So gravitas can be difficult sometimes. If there's not a good feedback loop from the people to the government, and if you have rule of the bureaucrat, if the bureaucracy is in charge, and then what meaning does democracy actually have?
The bureaucrats are people, Elon. Bureaucrats are not some sort of alien race that is outside humanity. They're people who have a job, who have been hired to do a job. They applied, they got a degree within some sort of field of government. They applied, now they're doing the job. But they dehumanize them by calling them bureaucrats, the government. Those are people, human beings, who have a job and an address and a social security number and a bank account.
If the people cannot vote and have their will be decided by their elected representatives in the form of the president and the Senate and the House, then we don't live in a democracy. We live in a bureaucracy. So
You have to balance them, sure, but we don't vote for every single goddamn thing, man. Complete 100% democracy means that you vote for every single dollar. You vote for every single little thing. That doesn't function. We would have 9,000 votes a day, and it would be impossible to figure out. You need to put intelligent people in charge, and if they do a bad job, you replace them, and if they do a really bad job, you replace the person you elected.
It's incredibly important that we close that feedback loop, we fix that feedback loop, and that the public's elected representatives, the President, the House, and the Senate, decide what happens, as opposed to a large, unelected bureaucracy. This is not to say that there are good people.
Elon wasn't elected.
Are in the federal bureaucracy, but you can't have an autonomous federal bureaucracy. You have to have one that is responsive to the people.
You can't have an autonomous bureaucracy. Elon is literally an autonomous bureaucracy right now of himself, not of the people, for the people, by the people, of himself. He decides what stays and what goes. He decides who gets to be put in charge. He decides what gets axed and what gets deleted and what gets removed. He decides autonomously, because Donald Trump's brain is mayonnaise and he's sitting there in the cuck chair. He can't be deciding complicated things.
That's the whole point of democracy. And if you looked at this, if you asked the founders today and said, what do you think of the way things have turned out? Well, we have this unelected, fourth unconstitutional
he can tell you,
government, which is the bureaucracy.
That's an amazing superpower you have there, Elon. You can tell me what the founders were thinking. It's quite the fucking superpower you have there, you dipshit.
Which has, in a lot of ways, currently more power than any elected representative. And this is not something that people want. And it does not match the will of the people. So it's just something we've got to
will of the people. They won by 1.8%.
So we've got
will of the people.
A $2 trillion deficit. And if we don't do something about this deficit, the country's going bankrupt.
Tax the billionaires.
It's really astounding that
deficit will go down.
The interest payments alone on national debt.
Tax the billionaires. Tax Elon. Tax Elon.
Shocking, because
it'll go down.
We spend a lot of money on defense. But and if that just keeps going, we're essentially going to bankrupt the country. So what I really want to say is, like, it's not optional for us to reduce the federal expenses. It's essential. It's essential for America to remain solvent as a country, and it's essential for America to have the resources necessary to provide things to its citizens and not simply be servicing vast amounts of debt.
And also, could you mention some of the things that your team has found?
What? Oh, good. Okay.
Numbers, including
this might be the evidence.
Walked away with about
This
30 million.
is it. Let's go.
Right.
Etc.
Well, we do find it sort of rather odd that there are quite a few people in the bureaucracy who have ostensibly a salary of a few $100,000, but somehow manage to accrue tens of millions of dollars in net worth while they are in that position, which is what happened to USAID. We're just curious as to where it came from. Maybe they're very good at investing, in which case we should take their investment advice, perhaps.
There are people who work for the government who make $100,000 a year, but they also have millions of dollars in the bank. Okay? Do you have any evidence that came from the government? Bank records are real easy. Get a warrant, figure out where that money came from, maybe have the IRS look into it, determine where that money came from. This is very simple, very easy day one kind of shit. And instead of actually providing that evidence, they'll just vaguely gesture towards it. Oh, well, you know, didn't you hear? Oh man, ain't you heard? All those career bureaucrats who have billions of dollars in the bank, but only make $100,000 at their job. Where'd it come from? I'm just asking questions. Kill the government. How did we get here? This is conspiracy. This is fucking tinfoil hat thinking. It really is. My man, that's tinfoil hat thinking. I don't know the answer, so I'll invent one. Somebody has more money than they should. Clearly, they're stealing from the government, and they're a lizard person. What? No. How did you get there? How did you jump to that? I don't know. I have a weird question about who shot JFK, so clearly it was robot lizard aliens. Nah, man, how did you get there? Why did you jump immediately to robot lizard aliens? This is conspiracy thinking. I know conspiracy thinking when I see it. And this is it. Best hat on YouTube. Thank you very much, Trader Todd. That is very nice of you to say. I like that it takes on a different shape every day because I didn't do any kind of work to make it look good. I want it to look bad. That is the point. Let's keep listening.
But just there seems to be mysteriously they get wealthy. We don't know why.
Mysteriously, we don't know why. Could be anything.
And I think the reality is that they're getting wealthy at the taxpayer expense. That's the honest truth of it. So,
do you have any evidence?
So we
prove
look
it.
At, say, we just if you look at say Treasury, for example, basic controls that should be in place. That are in place in any company, such as making sure that any given payment has a payment categorization code, that there is a comment field that describes the payment, and that if a payment is on the do not pay list, that you don't actually pay it. None of those things are true currently. So the reason that departments can't pass audits is because the payments don't have a categorization code. It's like just a massive number of blank checks just flying out the building. So you can't reconcile.
That's not what blank check means. He doesn't know what a blank check is. A blank check means that you don't have a name or a price written down yet. You can write the price in later. If you don't know how much it's going to cost, you give them a blank check and then they write in the cost later. That's not what not having a being on the do not pay list is. He doesn't know what he's saying.
Blank checks. You've got comment fields that are also blank, so you don't know why the payment was made. And then we've got this truly absurd, a do not pay list, which can take up to a year for an organization to get on a do not pay list. And this, we're talking about terrorist organizations, we're talking about known fraudsters, known aspects of waste, known things that do not match any congressional appropriation. It can take up to a year to get on the list, and even once on the list is not used. It's mind-blowing. So what we're talking about...
Then put some sort of team together that can do some work to make things make more sense. Not chopping this shit to death. Chopping it to bits, killing everything imaginable, throwing your own equipment in there, breaking the law to... what? Find a better do not pay list?
We're really just talking about adding common sense controls that should be present.
Common sense is a feeling.
That haven't been present.
We'll get to that in a minute.
How could such a thing arise? That seems crazy. When you understand that really everything is geared towards complaint minimization, so then you understand the motivations. So if people receive money, they don't complain, obviously. But if people don't receive money, they do complain. And the fraudsters complain the loudest and the fastest. So
complaint minimization. Have you ever felt that from your government? That they if you just complain, they give you whatever you want. If you simply complain a little bit, they'll just give you millions of dollars.
Then when you understand that, then it makes sense. Oh, that's why everything they approve all the payments at Treasury. Because if you approve all the payments, you don't get complaints.
You don't get any complaints.
But
everybody
now
should just put in requests to the Treasury. They'll just give you money.
Badly, if your taxpayer dollars are not spent in a sensible and frugal manner, then that's not okay. Your tax dollars need to be spent wisely on things that matter to the people. I mean, these things, like it's just common sense. It's not.
Common sense is a feeling.
It's not draconian or radical. I think it's really just saying, let's look at each of these expenditures and say, is this actually in the best interest of the people? And if it is,
look at each one and say, is it in the best interest of the people? Who's going to do that? A complicated congressional body put together with specialists in the fields? No. Elon's going to do that. He's going to decide whether it's good for you or not. He's going to be the decider. He's going to feel like this isn't a good use of your tax money, and so he's going to cancel it. That is what he's talking about. That is why it's irritating me. That's why I've been talking about nothing else over the past 5 or 6 streams, because nothing else matters. Now, I mean, the government still matters, but this is the most important part. This guy and his plan will shut down the entire country.
it's proved. If it's not, we should think about it. So, there's crazy things like just cursory examination of Social Security, and we've got people in there that are 150 years old. Now, do you know anyone who's 150? I don't. Okay.
Do you have any evidence of this? No, I don't think you do. I think you're just talking shit.
They should be on the Guinness Book of World Records. They're missing out. So, that's a case where, I think they're probably dead. It's my guess. Or they should be very famous, one of the two. And then there are a whole bunch of Social Security payments where there's no identifying information. Well, like, why is there no identifying information? Obviously, we want to make sure that people who deserve to receive Social Security do receive it, and that they receive it quickly and accurately. Also, another crazy thing. So, you know, one of the things is like we are trying to sort of right-size the federal bureaucracy, just make sure that this obviously there need to be a lot of people working for the federal government, but not as many as currently. So we're saying, well, okay, well, let's if people can retire, you know, with full benefits and everything, that would be good. They can retire, get their retirement payments, everything. And then we were told, this is actually, I think, a great anecdote, because we're told the most number of people that could retire possibly in a month is 10,000. We're like, well, why is that? Well, because all the retirement paperwork is manual on paper. It's manually calculated, then written down on a piece of paper. Then it goes down a mine. And I'm like, what do you mean a mine? Like, yeah, there's a limestone mine where we store all the retirement paperwork. And you look at a picture of this mine. We'll post some pictures afterwards. And this mine looks like something out of the 50s because it was started in 1955. So it looks like it's like a time warp. And then
Elon, the government didn't come into effect in 2016. We didn't invent the United States government in the year 2016. We didn't, in fact. It's been around for a little while. But he doesn't know that. Why is the retirement paperwork inside a very safe place, underground, in probably what I would assume is filing cabinets on paper? Because equipment dies, hard drives go bad, databases get corrupted, paper lasts longer, and if you put it in a mine, in a limestone cave, document everything, write everything down, write the numbers down, create a card catalog so you can look it up later, it will last a lot longer. He's too stupid to know about paper backups for your records. He's too stupid to know that you need to back things up manually. He's too dumb to be running this operation. It's a perfect example of money talks. I've never seen Trump stay quiet for so long. Yeah, absolutely, because he's been cucked. He's a beaten dog. He's been a bitch to money his entire life, and he's never met anybody with as much as Elon, so he has to give Elon more rights, more authority, more importance than anybody else. He paid $250 million to get him elected. Now he sits in that chair while Elon addresses the world from the Oval Office. What's Elon's long-term goal? I thought it was money, but I'm really starting to think that it actually is ultimate power. He's Lex Luthor. He really is. He's Lex Luthor. We're at super villain levels here, guys. We're at super villain territory where he bought the presidency, tells the actual president what to do, stands in the Oval Office and gives a fucking 20-minute speech, doesn't understand what's going on, changes everything on a whim, has his goons. He literally has goons that he's got those 25-year-old neo-Nazis that go around and do whatever he wants. He's shutting down things that he doesn't like. He's threatening people with lawsuits, and he's going to use the IRS against anybody he doesn't like. And Elon's child X is pissing Trump off at the inside. He just can't say anything because the money is talking. Absolutely right. He doesn't like that kid. He just wants him to shut up and go away. Elon's too dumb to know how the Dewey Decimal System works. I know he is. More nerd shit. You are the expert on nerd shit. You off the top of your head thought about the Dewey Decimal System. I haven't heard that term in decades. He is too dumb to know how that works. And he's too dumb to know that you need to back these things up properly. Oh, let's see. Let's keep going.
And the speed, the limiting factor is the speed at which the mine shaft elevator can move determines how many people can retire from the federal government. And the elevator breaks down sometimes, and then nobody can retire.
I suspect that he misunderstands this. I really do think that he's misunderstanding. That's the Trump three-step. The Trump three-step. That's the 3 steps that he takes in every situation. Misunderstand, create a delusion, spread fear. Misunderstand, delusion, fear. Those are the 3 steps that these guys work all the time. He misunderstands what the mine is and what it's for. He creates a delusion that only 100,000 people can retire because we can't get any more paper down in the mine. And he is spreading fear right now to you about how dysfunctional the government is. And it's just damn fine. Okay, it's not perfect, but it isn't the horrible nightmare that he says it is. Back to the card catalog, Elon. Yeah, you look so frustrated. Well, it's because my country is being destroyed by two goobers. It's not like it's being destroyed because we're failing some sort of ideological thing. We're not losing a war against a superior country. We're just being run by the dumbest among us. And they're running it poorly. And human beings are going to suffer because of their stupid choices. Sorry to just keep harping on it, but I really do think bad times are coming.
Doesn't that sound crazy? There's like 1,000 people that work on this. So I think if we take those people and say, like, you know what, instead of working in a mine shaft and carrying manila envelopes to, boxes in a mine shaft, you could do practically anything else. And you would add to the goods and services of the United States in a more useful way.
But when you get too frustrated, what you do is you grab a Bobo like this. You see? He's very cute. He's very cuddly. He's a mop. He's very hairy. Say hello to the people, Bo. Exactly. Good point. Yes, good. Big yawn. Look at that. Big yawn. And he's got his little shirt on. He loves the shirt. He really does like wearing the shirts, though. He really does like wearing the shirts. I tried to take it off of him, and he growled at me. It says, "I give free kisses," because he does. He gives kisses. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I think, there is a depression coming. Yeah, it would not surprise me. I mean, Donald Trump will look you right in the, when the depression starts, Donald Trump will look into the camera and be like, Joe Biden did this. This is not my fault. This is a recession, not a depression. And this is Joe Biden's fault. I mean, it'll be a depression, but it won't matter. So let's keep on trucking.
So anyway, so I think, that's an example. Like at a high level, if you say, like, how do we increase prosperity, is we get people to shift from roles that are low to negative productivity to high productivity roles. And so you increase the total output of goods and services, which means that there's a higher standard of living available for everyone. That's the actual goal. Everyone's very quiet, by the way.
I think he's too dumb to pull that off.
So you people don't think it's quiet?
Your detractors, Mr. Musk,
What?
including a lot of Democrats.
I have detractors?
You do, sir.
I don't believe it.
Say that you're orchestrating a hostile takeover of government and doing it in a non-transparent way. What's your response to that criticism?
Well, first of all, you couldn't ask for a stronger mandate from the public. The public voted. We had a majority.
1.8%.
President Trump.
1.8%.
Won the House. Won the Senate. The people voted for major government reform. There should be no doubt about that. That was on the campaign. The president spoke about that at every rally. The people voted for major government reform, and that's what people are going to get. They're going to get what they voted for. And a lot of times, people
It's
don't
a
get
threat.
what they voted for. But in this presidency, they are going to get what they voted for, and that's
Fascism.
what democracy is all about.
You voted for fascism, you're going to get it.
Mr. Musk, the White House says that you will identify and excuse yourself from any conflicts of interest that you may have. Does that mean that you are, in effect, policing yourself? What are the checks and balances that are in place to ensure that there is accountability and transparency?
Well, we actually are trying to be as transparent as possible. In fact, we post our actions to the Doge handle on X and to the Doge website. So all of our actions are maximally transparent. In fact, I don't think there's been, I don't know of a case where an organization has been more transparent than the Doge organization.
They're transparent because they tell you what they did. I mean, it's a lie. They don't offer any kind of evidence, but they told you that everything's fine, so it's fine. I mean, that's how transparency works, right? Doge immune from FOIA requests. Here we go. Clever Trump executive orders shroud Doge from public scrutiny. So the executive order shrouds Doge from public scrutiny. You don't get to know what they're doing. Situating the new department in an existing agency enables it to avoid Freedom of Information Act requests. It's not transparent. They're not going to tell you what they're doing. He's going to look into a camera and tell you, we did it, folks. We did it. We found billions and billions of dollars. No, you can't see any evidence. No, I'm not going to tell you where it is. No, I'm not going to tell you where it went. No, I'm not going to tell you how we did it. Don't have to. They're immune to that whole Freedom of Information Act request process because they're part of the presidency, and the president is immune to crimes and immune from FOIA requests. So he's going to tell you over and over and over again that they are the most transparent, and it's a lie.
So, and the kind of things we're doing are, I think, very, very simple and basic. They're not. We're what I mentioned
because they have
for
baby
example,
brains.
About Treasury, just making sure that payments that go out, taxpayer money that goes out, is categorized correctly. That the payment is explained. That organizations on the do not pay list, which takes a lot to get there, that actually are not paid, which currently they are paid. These are
baby
not
brains.
Individual judgment decisions. These are about simply having sensible checks and balances in the system itself to ensure that taxpayer money is spent well. So it's got nothing to do with, like, say, a contract with some company of mine at all.
But if there is a conflict of interest when it comes to you yourself, for instance, you've received billions of dollars in federal contracts when it comes to the Pentagon, for instance, which the president I know has directed you to look into.
Yeah.
Are you policing yourself in that? Is there any sort of accountability check and balance in place that would provide any transparency for the American people?
Well, all of our actions are fully public. So if you see anything, you say, like, wait a second, hey, Elon, that seems like maybe that's, that there's a conflict there. It's not like people are going to be
fully
shy about saying
public.
that. They'll say it immediately.
Including you yourself?
Yes. But transparency is what builds trust, not simply somebody asserting trust. So not somebody saying they're trustworthy, but
That's literally what he's doing right now. He will offer you no information. He will offer no evidence, and he will tell you into a camera that they did it, and you should trust him.
Transparency, so you can see everything that's going on. And then you can see, am I doing something that benefits one of my companies or not? It's totally obvious.
And if we thought that, we would not let him do that segment or look in that area if we thought there was a lack of transparency or a conflict of interest. And we watched that also. It's a big
we watched that.
businessman.
Oh,
He's a
see,
successful guy.
guys.
That's why we want him doing this.
We
don't want
watch him. It's fine.
an unsuccessful guy doing this.
We'll just watch him.
Now, one thing also that Elon hasn't really mentioned are the groups of people that are getting some of these payments. They're ridiculous. And we're talking about billions of dollars that we've already found. We found fraud and
Evidence.
abuse.
Bring
I would say those two words as
evidence
opposed to the
at
third word that I
all.
usually use, but in this case, fraud and abuse. It's abusive because most of these things are virtually made up, or certainly money shouldn't be sent to them. And you know what I'm talking about. It's crazy. So, but we're talking about tens of billions of dollars that we've already found. And now a judge
Evidence.
is an activist. Judge wants to try and stop us from doing this. Why? Why would they want to do that? I campaigned on this. I campaigned on the fact that I said government is corrupt.
You can, in fact, campaign promising people to commit crimes. The judge can't stop you from campaigning on doing a crime. I campaigned promising everybody I would do a bunch of crime, and now that I'm here doing a bunch of crime, some stupid judge gets in my way. What kind of system is that?
And it is very corrupt. It's very, very, it's also foolish. As an example, a man has a contract for 3 months and the contract ends, but they keep paying him for the next 20 years, because nobody ends a contract. You get a lot of that. You have a contract that's 3.
Do you have evidence of this happening? Put it in front of a judge. Prosecute him with the law. But no, none of that will happen.
A 3-month contract. Now, normally, if you're in a small, in all fairness, it's the size of this thing is so big.
Yeah.
But if you have a contract and you're in a regular business, you end the contract in 3 months. You know it's a consultant. Here's a contract for 3 months, but it goes on for 20 years. And the guy doesn't say that he got money for 20 years. They don't say it. They just keep getting checks month after month. And you have various things like that, and even much worse than that, actually, much worse. And I guess
He misunderstands how contracts work. He creates a delusion about some guy with a 3-month contract that got paid for 20 years, and he spreads fear to you, thinking that you're being robbed.
you call that incompetence, maybe.
Yeah.
It could be corruption. It could be deals made on both sides, where the guy gets the money. I think he has a lot of kickback.
Delusion.
I see a lot
He's
of
just
kickback
making
there.
things up.
Tremendous kickback, because nobody could be so stupid to give out some of these contracts, so he has to get a kickback. So
He's just making things
that's
up.
what I got
Delusion.
elected for, that and borders and military and a lot of things, but this is a big part of it. And I hope that the court system is going to allow us to do what we have to do. We got elected to among other things, find all of this fraud, abuse, all of this horrible stuff going on. And we've already found billions of dollars. Not
No, you
like
haven't.
a little bit.
Evidence,
billions,
please.
many billions of
Any
dollars.
evidence.
And when you get down to it, it's going to be probably close to $1 trillion. It could be close to $1 trillion that we're going to find. That will have quite an impact on the budget. And you'll go to a judge where they handpick a judge, and he has certain leanings. I'm not knocking anybody for that, but he has certain leanings, and he wants us to stop looking. How do you stop looking? I mean, we've already found.
They're not telling you to stop looking. They're telling you to put evidence in front of them. If you found someone breaking the law, put that evidence in front of a judge. You haven't. You're finding things that you don't like. You don't like it when someone pays another country for food. You don't like it when USAID pays for food and gives it to Bolivia. You don't like it when they pay for newspaper subscriptions within government organizations, because you don't like the newspaper that they paid for. You just don't like it. This isn't fraud. It's you feel like you don't want it.
We have a case in New York where a hotel has paid $59 million. $59 million because it's housing migrants, illegal migrants. All illegal, I believe.
And they were being paid twice the normal room rate at 100% occupancy.
Unbelievable.
So it's a racket.
He misunderstands how this happened. He misunderstands. He creates a delusion about migrants living in fancy hotels on your dime and spreads fear about it to you. Misunderstand, delusion, fear. 3 steps every time.
Well, if I may sort of just going for the president's comments, at a high level, okay, well, what are the 2 ingredients that are really
He sure does,
necessary
KVP.
in order to cut the budget deficit in half from $2 trillion to $1 trillion?
He stays at his hotel, and then the Secret Service has to stay there, and he charges them extra, and he bills them more. That's what he did when he was in charge. If Barack Obama owned a hotel and stayed at it, you would never hear them stop screaming about how he stayed there and gave himself money. Saudi princes kept buying and paying for Trump's lavish hotel rooms and then just not showing up to give him money because they want to give him money.
And it's really 2 things: competence and caring. And if you add competence and caring, you'll cut the budget deficit in half. And I
Feelings?
fully expect to be scrutinized.
Competence and
get,
caring.
you know,
I
daily
think those are
competency
feelings.
exam, basically. Might as well just camp out there. So it's not like I think I can get away with something. I'll be scrutinized nonstop. And
How will you
with
be
support of the
scrutinized
president,
nonstop?
We can cut the budget deficit in half from
Scrutinized.
$2 trillion to $1 trillion.
No, you will not
And then
be
with,
scrutinized.
Deregulation, because there's a lot of sort of regulations that don't ultimately serve the public good. We need to free the builders of America to build.
Get them boogers, kid. Check out Joffrey picking them boogers.
And if we do that,
Get 'em, kids.
Get the
Get it.
growth, 3%, maybe 5%. And that means if you can get $1 trillion of economic growth, and you cut the budget deficit by $1 trillion between now and next year.
Go on,
there is no
Joffrey, get it.
inflation. There's no inflation at 26. And if the government is not borrowing as much, it means that interest costs decline. So everyone's the mortgage, their car payment, their credit card bills, anything, their student debt, the monthly payments drop.
He misunderstands inflation. He creates a delusion that if he just does these things and gets inflation down, everybody's prices will go down. Misunderstand, delusion, fear. Actually, misunderstand, delusion, fantasy this time, because he's selling you a fantasy that your bills are all going to go down because he chopped off $1 million worth of food to Ecuador.
That's a fantastic scenario for the average American. I mean, imagine they're going down the grocery aisle and the prices from one year to the next are the same, and their mortgage, all their debt payments dropped. How great is that for the average American?
We had
That's
no
what we're
idea. We had no idea we were going to find this much, and it's open. It's not like complicated. It's
It's not
simple
complicated.
stuff.
It's
like
a lot of work.
we
Yeah.
can't believe.
It's not complicated. They have mayonnaise brains. They have baby brains. They're saying it's not complicated because they don't know what they're talking about. They are looking at the biggest, most complicated government in human history and being like, oh, this is easy, because they have dumb brains. They have bad brains. They think that everything is simple and easily explained. That's part of conservatism. I really think it is. Everything's simple. Everything's easy. It's the people you don't like that are jamming up the system. Everything is simple. Everything has a simple answer because nuance terrifies their baby brain. Nuance is terrifying to them. They do not want a complicated 1,000 gray areas. No, they want black and white, red and blue, up and down. They cannot handle the gray in the middle. Saw a clip of that kid during Tucker Carlson interview who was parroting things heard behind closed doors and about the election. Yes, I saw that as well. It was with the kid he was talking to Tucker, and then the kid's like, "They'll never know." Wah. And the conspiracy theory. Okay. The conspiracy theory is that the kid is repeating things that he heard his father say about the election, that they'll never know what we did. They'll never be able to tell all the things that we did. And then the kid repeats it. Children do have a knack for all children. This is the thing that goes across all countries, all societies. Children will often repeat the thing that you shouldn't have said. I have one. He repeats the things I shouldn't have said, without missing a beat, every single time. If it's a thing I shouldn't have said, he will repeat it in public where everyone can hear it. So that's what Joffrey is doing there. And we've got another one of those. As soon as we're done with this video, there is a clip of young Joffrey possibly saying something that he heard. So we'll look at that one too, and we'll put the hat on for that.
Believe it, a lot of work, a lot of smart people involved, very, very smart people. But you're talking about anywhere, maybe $500 billion. It's crazy the kind of numbers you're talking about.
Evidence, please.
Normally when you're looking at something, you'll find you're looking for 1 out of 100. Here, you're almost reversing it. You look for one that's good.
Yeah.
And you can look
Evidence.
at the title. And you say, why are we doing this? Why are we doing that? And the public gets it. The public gets it. You've seen the polls. The public is saying, why are we paying all this money? This for years, this has gone on. Yeah, go ahead. Wait, go ahead.
Senator Rand Paul today said that DOJ cuts will ultimately need a vote in Congress. Do you agree with that? Is that the plan?
I really don't know. I know this. We're finding tremendous fraud and tremendous abuse.
Congress is of no value. Congress does whatever he tells them to do. The Republicans on the Congress have given up any power and authority they have to do only what Donald Trump tells them. And the Dems are such big wieners that they'll just be like, we vote no, but we can't complain. We're not in charge. Guess you should have given us more money.
If I need a vote of Congress to find fraud and abuse, it's fine with me. I think we'll get the vote. Although there'll be some people that wouldn't. And how could a judge want to hold us back from finding all of this fraud? And finding all
they
of this,
want you to provide evidence.
Why would that happen? Why would even Congress want to do that? Now, Congress, if we do need a vote, I think we'd get a very easy vote because we have a track record now. We've already found billions of dollars of abuse, incompetence, and corruption. A lot of corruption.
If a judge does block one of your
like
policies
what? Name
on your
one.
agenda, will you abide by
Name
that
some
rule?
of it.
Well, I always abide by the courts, and then I'll have to appeal it. But then what he's done is he slowed down the momentum, and it gives crooked people more time to cover up the books. If a person's crooked and they get caught, other people see that, and all of a sudden it becomes harder later on. So, yeah the answer.
What? If you were breaking the law, we need to catch you immediately. We need to give you a quick trial, immediate, fast, right now. We need to put you in front of a judge. If you're breaking the law, cut it off. No time for a proper trial. Mandatory. Because if you broke the law, and we have the evidence to prove that you broke the law, you will cover it up somehow. But what? If you give them too much time, you see, they'll cover it up. So that's why court trials have a speedy trial, right? Is that why we put that into the Constitution about a speedy trial? Is because slow trials are easier to lie. It's easier to cheat. Quick trial. There it is. Yeah. We have to have a quick trial, or else you'll not be breaking the law. You'll cover it up somehow. That doesn't make any sense. Misunderstand, delusion, fear every time.
The answer is I always abide by the courts, always abide by them, and will appeal. But appeals take a long time, and I would hope that a judge, if you go into a judge and you show him, here's a corrupt situation. We have a check to be sent, but we found it to be corrupt. Do you want us to send this corrupt check to a person, or do you want us not to give it and give it back to the taxpayer? I would hope a judge would say, don't send it, give it back to the taxpayer.
The judge will say, prove it. The judge will say, what's your evidence? What's the law? He thinks judges just make decisions based on whatever the fuck they feel like. Judges just pick and choose who they like the most. Donald Trump does not understand what a judge is or what they do. He's too stupid.
If I can add to that, what we're finding is that a bunch of the fraud is not even going to Americans. So I think we can all agree that if there's going to be fraud, it should at least go to Americans. But a bunch of the fraud rings that are operating in the United States and taking advantage of the federal government, especially in the entitlements programs, are actually foreign fraud rings. They're operating in other countries and actually exporting money to other countries. U.S.
aid does give money to foreign countries so that they will be our friends, so that their countries don't starve and die. We give them benefits. You catch more flies with honey, you see. He's too stupid to know that. He thinks giving other countries money is them stealing from you. No, we get something from it. The Belt and Road Initiative. Have you ever heard of this? The conservatives have been screaming bloody murder about it. But the Belt and Road Initiative. What is the Belt and Road Initiative? It is a Chinese-led infrastructure development strategy that aims to connect Asia, Africa, and Europe. The Chinese people who are rich are paying and building roads in Africa so that Africa will give them stuff later. You catch more flies with honey. This is called soft power. They're too stupid to understand it. They don't know what it is. They think it's just being robbed. According to their ideology, Africa is robbing China. When in fact, this is China robbing Africa. They build them some roads, and then they will be nice to them when China says, hey, can we dig up all your resources? Can we dig up all that metal? Can we get all that lithium that's under the ground? And they'll be like, yeah, of course you can. You built the fucking roads. That's how soft power works. But they don't know that because they're stupid.
We should stop that. And this is big numbers. We're about $100 to $200 billion a year.
And now Joffrey's fingers are in Elon's ears. His booger fingers are in Elon's ears. That's just part of being a dad. This is also universal. Your kids will put their booger fingers all up in your ears.
Sure.
Serious, funny.
Mr. Musk, you said on X that an example of the fraud that you have cited was $50 million of condoms was sent to Gaza. But after fact-check this, apparently Gaza in Mozambique, and the program was to protect them against HIV. So can you correct the statements? It wasn't sent to Hamas, actually. It was sent to Mozambique, which makes sense why condoms was sent there.
Yeah.
And how can we make sure that all the statements that you said were correct so we can...
So she, speaking with a foreign accent, probably never going to get back into the Oval Office again. Look at him. He's so pissed off. He's so grumpy. Why would you argue? Why would you fact check the things he said? How dare you? How could you fact check the bullshit he said? Earlier this week, I mean, it could have been 7 years ago. I don't know. Or it was 4 days. I'm not entirely sure. Time has ceased all meaning. The the press secretary, said that the USAID was sending $50 million worth of condoms to Gaza. Now, that's a lie. According to this reporter, it went to Mozambique because that's what they need there. That's what we sent them so that someday they'll be our friend. We're catching their flies with honey, you see. Donald Trump heard this and made it worse because he's an idiot. He, instead of 50 million to Gaza, he said it was 100 million to Hamas. He said, we're sending $100 million worth of condoms to Hamas. Why are we doing that? Stupid. Why would we do that? We're not doing that, Donnie. We're not. You're an idiot who says just made up shit. You just say whatever you want. It's great. It's fine. It's cool. You just do whatever you want, say whatever you want. And when someone argues with you, you make this face like, ugh, how could you argue with me? I said it. That means it's true. and then he's going to bullshit.
That's what you say.
Well, first of all, some of the things that I say will be incorrect and should be corrected. So nobody's going to bat 1,000. I mean, we will make mistakes, but we'll act quickly to correct any mistakes.
Sometimes I'll lie.
So,
and if you catch me,
I'm not sure we
maybe
should be
we'll
sending
correct it.
bells with condoms to anywhere. Frankly, I'm not sure that's something Americans would be really excited about. And that is really.
It's foreign aid. We're giving them a thing they need for soft power, but he doesn't get it.
Almost never condoms, if you think about it. But if it went to Mozambique instead of Gaza, I'm like, okay, that's not as bad, but still, why are we doing that?
To make
Can you talk a little bit
friends.
about how closely you're working with agency heads as you're directing these cuts? Do they have how much input do agency heads have when you're making these decisions?
Yeah, we work closely with the agency heads, so there are sort of checks in place. So it's not us just going in and doing things willy-nilly. It's in.
I don't believe him.
Partnership with the agency heads, and
I don't believe
and
him.
I check frequently with the president to make sure that this is what the president wants to have happen. So we talk almost every day, and I double check things to make sure, is this something, Mr. President, you want us to do this? Then we'll do it.
USAID has been one of your main targets. Are you concerned at all that some of the cuts or that shutting that agency altogether may lead to diseases or other bigger problems starting in other countries that then come to the United States?
Yeah, so that's an interesting example. So that's something where we work closely with the State Department and Secretary Rubio. And we have, for example, turned on funding for Ebola prevention and for HIV prevention.
Left that, you said?
Yes, correct.
We're working for HIV prevention. Also cutting the number of condoms we're paying for. You see how maybe I don't believe you, Elon? Elon, when you tell me we're working for HIV prevention 60 seconds after you told me we're not going to be paying for condoms for another country. Boss, those two things, one does the other. So if you were doing the second thing, then you would have to do the first. If you're not doing the first, you're not doing the second. You're a liar.
And we are moving fast, so we will make mistakes, but we'll also fix the mistakes very quickly. So
action for action's sake, just do something now.
I think that there are some worthy things, but overall, if you say what was the bang for the buck, I would say it was not very good. And there was far too much of what USAID was doing was influencing elections in ways that I think were dubious and do not stand the light of day.
The CIA does use U.S. aid. This is not as big a conspiracy. I'm not even going to put on the hat. The CIA uses USAID to pay for things in other countries if we would like their election to go our way. That's politics, baby. That's how global politics works. That's how global politics operates. China is paying for Facebook ads in America to sway the election to the way they would prefer it. Russia is paying for Facebook ads, but Russia is paying for all kinds of stuff in America to try and convince the dumbest among us to vote for Donald Trump. And we do that to them. We do that. The RCIA does that to them too. If you stop doing the spy stuff, you're going to lose at the spy game. Sorry, Elon. He misunderstands it. He creates a delusion, spreads fear. He doesn't understand what he's talking about or what he's doing. He's not smart enough for this job.
I can just ask a follow-up to the Pentagon contracts. If you have received billions of dollars in contracts from the Pentagon, and the president's directing you to look into the Department of Defense, is that a conflict of interest?
Are going to do at the president's request.
Does that present a conflict of interest for you?
No, because you'd have to look at the individual contract and say, first of all, I'm not the one, filing the contract. It's people at SpaceX or someone who will be.
You own the company.
And I'd like to say, if you see any contract where where it was awarded to SpaceX and it wasn't by far the best value for money for the taxpayer, let me know, because every one of them was.
That's not the problem, Elon. The problem we're having is that you are getting richer from these contracts. And then when the government looks for somebody else, they look towards you first.
The other day that you might look at treasuries. Could you explain that a little bit? What kind of fraud, and that question goes to both of you, what kind of fraud are you expecting to see?
Yeah, that question goes to both of you. Oh, yeah, I forgot Donald Trump was sitting there. The president was standing here, and we were discussing with President Musk, and I forgot that Vice President Trump over here in the cuck chair was also here.
Do you see right now in U.S. treasuries?
I think you mean the Treasury Department as opposed to Treasury bills, or.
You also referenced Treasuries under Force 1 the other night.
Go ahead.
Well, as I mentioned earlier, really the first order of business is to make sure we're actually collecting. Sorry for this. Although my son might enjoy this, but he's sticking his fingers in my ears and stuff.
You got boogers in your ears,
It's
Elon.
hard to hear sometimes. Hey, stop that. No, the stuff we're doing with the Treasury Department is so basic that you can't believe it doesn't exist already. So, for example, like I mentioned, just making sure that when a payment goes out, it has to have a payment categorization code. It's like, what type of payment is this? You can't just leave the field blank. Currently, many payments, the field is left blank. And you have to describe what's the payment for, some basic rationalization. That also is left blank. So this is why, the Pentagon, when's the last time the Pentagon passed an audit? I mean, a decade ago, maybe? Ever? Really? And we want to, just in order to actually pass audits, you have to have financial information that allows you to trace the payments. And once in a while, the Treasury has to pause payments if it thinks the payment is going to a fraudulent organization. If I
Put together a competent task force of people who know what they're doing, give them a goal of adding this to there, and then get it through the Congress and get it passed and get it straightened out. It's more complicated because it takes time. You have to find people. You have to delineate what you want them to do. You have to describe the goal of the task force. You have to explain to the team what you want to do. They're going to go in. They're going to look for the things. They're going to look for these unfilled out check boxes and stuff like that. And then we're going to add a comment box so we can better understand what's going on. That's all good stuff. You don't get it by giving Elon the keys to the kingdom and letting him just decide willy-nilly what goes and what doesn't. Because that's what's going to happen. He's giving you the best bits while he's ignoring all of the worst, what he's actually doing.
If a company or organization is on a do not pay list, we should not
Do not
pay it.
pay
I'm
list
sure you would
again.
agree. Like, it's quite hard to get on that payment, the do not pay list.
We're almost done.
This is someone that is just, it's like dead people, terrorists, known fraudsters, that kind of thing. We should not pay them. But currently we do, which is crazy. We should stop that.
Many transactions. And by the way, hundreds, thousands of transactions like that. We have a big team. And for the sake of the country, I hope that the person that's in charge and the other people that report to me that are in charge are allowed to do the right thing, namely make sure everything's honest, legitimate, and competent. But we're looking at just, when you look at USAID, that's one. We're going to look at the military. We're going to look at education. They're much bigger areas. But the USAID is really corrupt. I'll tell you, it's corrupt. It's incompetent, and it's really corrupt. And I can't imagine a judge saying, well, it may be corrupt, but you don't have the right. You got elected to look over the country and to, as we say, make America great again, but you don't have the right to go and look and see whether or not
The judge is
things
going to
are
ask
right
for
that
evidence.
they're paying, or that
Again.
things are honest that they're paying. And nobody can even believe this. Other people, law professors, they've been saying, how can you take that person's right away? You're supposed to be running the country, but we're not allowed to look at who they're paying it to and what they're paying. We have massive amounts of fraud that we caught. I think we probably caught way over a lot of billions of dollars already. In
No
2
evidence.
weeks.
Say
And
it.
it's going to go
Doesn't matter.
to
You just
numbers
say
that
shit.
you're not going to believe. And much, as I said, much is incompetence and much is dishonesty. We have to catch it. And the only way we're going to catch it is to look for it. And if a judge is going to say you're not allowed to look for it, that's pretty
No judge has ever said that. No judge has ever said this.
sad for our country. I don't understand how it could even work.
On the buyout program, can you personally guarantee that
Which one?
the buyout program, the operative federal workers, can you personally guarantee that the workers who opt in to resign now will be paid through
Well, they'll
September?
get their money, but they're getting a good deal. They're getting a big buyout. And what we're trying to do is reduce government. We have too many people. We have office.
We have too many people, but we need to go over every single line and add more checks, more comment fields, and double check, triple check, quadruple check that they're not on the do not pay list. Again, these guys are defeating their own ideology. USAID needs to be investigated. Oops, they fired all the investigators. Donald Trump fired all the investigators. How are you going to investigate it? How are you going to look into it? You fired them all. And now the people who work there and know what's going on and could point you in the right direction are getting buyout offers that are dubiously legal. to lower the number of people in the government. He wants more government work with less people. And he thinks this is going to work. They're too dumb. Their talking points are clashing against each other because conservative talking points are generally counterproductive.
Space, it's occupied by 4%. Nobody's showing up to work because they were told not to. And then Biden gave them a 5-year pass, some of them, 48,000 of them, gave them a 5-year pass, that for 5 years you don't have to show up to work. And let me tell you, this is largely, much of this stuff is because of Biden. It's his fault. He allowed this country, what he did on our border. What he did on our border is almost not as bad as what he did with all of these contracts that have come out. It's a very sad day when we look at it. I can't even believe it. But many contracts just extend and they just keep extending, and there was nobody there to correct it. And that cannot be, I can't imagine that could be held up by the court. Any court that would say that the president or his representatives, like Secretary of the Treasury, Secretary of State, whatever, doesn't have the right to go over their books and make sure everything's honest. I mean, how can you have a country? You can't have anything that way. You can't have a
No one has said that ever in any way, shape, or form.
business that way. You can't have a country that way. Hey, thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
And that is how we fall to fascism, is Donald Trump looks in the camera and tells you what's happened. Sorry, my chair's broken. I have to buy another one of those gas cylinders that goes into the chair. It sinks down every couple of minutes, and it makes me very unhappy. So I got to buy another one. They're not very expensive. But if you want to help me afford one, feel free to give me gifts of money and press the subscribe button, press the like button, press the thumbs up button. Every one of those little things counts and helps. Become a subscriber on the Twitch channel. Like and subscribe, and then go to the YouTube comments and spread some hate, because that's what the YouTube algorithm does, is spread hate. There's an ad, by the way. This is how we fall to fascism. Very tiny little steps. He tells you, Donald Trump is lying when he said a judge said he couldn't look through the books. That's a lie. He's not allowed to stop a payment that Congress approved. That's what the judges are telling him he can't do. Congress voted to give this money. That's Congress's job. The president doesn't get to stop Congress doing their job. He's too stupid to understand, or he's willfully misinterpreting what they're telling him so that he can lie to the rubes who are his fans. Because we heard that. They heard what he said there and said, them damn liberal judges are not even letting Donald Trump look at the notebooks. They ain't letting him look at the ledgers. Donald Trump just wants to go in there and look at how much money they're spending, and the damn activist judges are stopping him. No, man, you can just say whatever you want. And if you're a Republican, they'll believe it. Well, they'll believe what they want to believe. So this is Joffrey here. Joffrey here. Maybe he said, "You're not the president. You need to go away." We'll play it, though.
To restore democracy. This may seem like, well, are we in a democracy? To restore democracy.
You're not the president. You need to go away.
To restore democracy.
Should have had my hat on for that. This is conspiratorial. I'm definitely on board for this. Let's see. Let's do it again. Is he saying, you're not the president, you need to go away?
This may seem like, well, to restore democracy. This may seem like, well,
you're not the president, you need to go away. This is clever, funny, but it's conspiracy, right? Like, even if that is literally exactly what little Joffrey here said, he's a child and children are stupid. Earlier in this video, he was picking all his boogers and eating them. Like, you can't listen to what he's saying. Did his father say this and now he's repeating it? Probably, maybe. It's entirely possible, but that doesn't prove anything. That's not evidence. The insanity spit out by children is not evidence. And so I firmly throw this into the conspiracy hole. You're going in the conspiracy hole. Conspiracy hole. And if you want more from the conspiracy hole, come on down to Waldo's stream. And because Waldo asked for evidence, here we go. The lie secretary crashes and burns when trying to prove fraud. Carolyn Levitt had no answers when asked about the fraud Donald Trump and Elon Musk are supposedly eliminating. This isn't an accident. They don't actually know what they're doing. After allowing Elon Musk and his college-age Department of Government Efficiency groupies to root around in the federal agencies for weeks, the Trump administration apparently still hasn't uncovered any fraud or abuse. During the press hearing on Wednesday, White House Press Secretary Carolyn Levitt waved around screenshots of contracts upon contracts that she claimed Doge had found in the government. But as she ran through a list of financial arrangements, some of which had to do with diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts from previous administrations, it became clear that the Doge targeted contracts didn't constitute fraud, but instead were simply against the president's policies for his America First agenda. He doesn't like them. He doesn't like them. He doesn't like it. And if he doesn't like it, it's illegal. Are all of those things you just mentioned fraud, or are they just contrary to the president's policies? I would argue that all of these things are fraudulent, Levitt responded. They are wasteful and they are an abuse of the American taxpayer's dollar. This is not what the government should be spending money on. They are contrary to the president's priorities and agenda. He doesn't like it. And if you don't like it and you get elected, cancel it. Tell them it's not a good idea. Tell the people that they shouldn't be spending money on this. I'm going to do a better job. You don't throw Elon in there with a bunch of 4chan neo-Nazis to put in new equipment, create backdoors, skip all the security clearances, and then just have them start chopping things off. That's not the way to get the shit done. It is harmful, it is dangerous, and it will cause us to collapse. Something important will be cut, and because of that, we will collapse. If Donald Trump is ignoring the judges, if he is ignoring the Congress, if according to J.D. Vance, he doesn't have to stop doing things just because a judge said to stop because it's illegal, then we don't have a functioning democracy anymore. Congress can pass bills, but who cares? The law is whatever Donald Trump feels like. The Congress can pass those funding. I said funding and spending together into spunding. The Congress can pass the spending bills. Congress can pass the funding bills, but it won't matter. Elon will just kill it whenever Elon feels like it. Elon will just pay for whatever he wants paid for. Doesn't matter. He's in charge of the Treasury. Elon owns the Treasury now. It's his to do with as he pleases. And if Congress sends him a bill, says fund this thing, he doesn't have to because he worked for the president. The president is above the law now. What are they going to do? There is only one branch of the government now, and it's his. He owns all of them. He will ignore the Congress. He will ignore the judges and do what he wants, and no one will stop him. The Congress will complain, maybe. The Republicans won't because they like it. They are on board for fascism because they will benefit. The Democrats will benefit slightly less, so they're going to whine about it. They're going to tell you a fun story about the shining city on a hill that they grew up with, and anybody can do anything in America, and this is not the America that they grew up in, and then they won't do anything. This is why I said America died, because we don't have a functioning democracy anymore. Elon's in charge of the Treasury, and very soon, in the next midterm election, he will be in charge of the voting. Elon Musk is not going anywhere. He will be here when the next election comes around, and he will change the rules, change the laws, look in the camera. He will address you again from his Oval Office and tell you who won. What are you going to do? Argue? He'll tell you that there's fraud. He's already found billions and billions and billions of dollars worth of fraud. He'll find some voter fraud. Or he'll lie to you to get what he wants. which is what I think will happen. It's not good. It's not going to go very well. I think it's going to go very badly, in fact. I think he is going to lie to you about what's happened. I think he's going to lie to you about who wins the next election. He's going to lie to you about the election processes. He's going to lie to you about what things they've put in place. And if the outcome isn't what he likes, he'll just say that it's fraud and arrest the people involved. Put them behind, get the DOJ to investigate them for eternity until the people just accept it. And they will accept it because they've accepted all the little baby steps that I mentioned at the very beginning of this stream, the tiny little steps. If you call it Gulf of America, you are aiding and abetting fascism. One tiny baby step at a time. I'm going to turn that into a short. Bear with me while I turn this into a short. If you call it the Gulf of America, you are aiding and abetting fascism. That's good. That's a nice little short. So I'll look forward to that. That's exciting. But you, dear viewer, you, the millions of people who catch the live stream, you get to be the first in line for that nugget of wisdom, and that's cool. I appreciate that. Thanks everybody who was here. Thanks 10 past 11. Thanks Trader Todd. I appreciate it. Thank you KBP for being here. Let's see, today's Wednesday, so I'll be back on Saturday for a Saturday morning stream. Won't I? Do I have anything to do on Saturday? I don't think I do. I think I'll be here for Saturday. I should be. I think I will. So yeah, that's it for me tonight. I appreciate everybody who's here. Thank you very much for coming. Thanks, KVP. I will be back on Saturday unless the Gestapo kicks in my door and drags me off to the gulag. And they might. You never know. Good night and goodbye.